All right. As we're streaming, hello and welcome to Music Producer Conversations starring Curtis King on the big screen. We got him going on. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Periscope. We're testing out some things in the future. But today we're going to go over, is there still money left for online music producers? That's a great question posed by Curtis King, and I think that's a great way to move forward in this conversation. So let me say what's up. What's up, Easy? Mestizo's here. We got a couple names I'm not familiar with. Zycron, what's going on? H-Wood is here. Hey, look, I'm the only one. Not yet. H-Wood. Atomic, what's going on? J-Boy. Steven. Let me know if you can hear me, if I have to turn my mic up. Oh, I do. Because I was recording, I forgot. Turn my preamp down when I'm recording. Geminez is back. Alifos, what's up? Born Entertainer. Pascal, what's going on? Cybernax, what up? Peanut McKinney, Suicidal's back. You can watch this on your mobile in the bathroom. There you go. Ruby P, or Rudy P, my bad. What's good? 4209, what's going on? LFC for life. What's that stand for? LFC. Cash Hookie is here. Or Hookie, what's up? Cloud S, what's going on? Down Crazy. Ayush, now I gotta go really fast. Ayush, what's going on? So again, we're gonna go over, is there still money left in online music production? Curtis King on the big screen. As I say my hellos. Don Crazy, MD Beats, Jai Monet. What's up? High C's here. Sia Bonga is here. Classy, what's going on? It's your boy Zach or Zav. Man, I have some really difficult usernames. Shock, what's up, Shock Raven? So let's get started. I appreciate everybody for joining. I'm running out of breath for the introductions, but I just wanted to make everybody welcome before we get started, because today we have a pretty in-depth conversation, and we have a lot of things to go over. And the question is there still money left for online music producers? The reason we pose this question is because there seems to be a weird misunderstanding between online and offline. Whether, let's just call it online, offline. And we're blending the two as entrepreneurs, and a lot of people just don't understand. What's up, Beats Music? And Noah, what's up, Noah? So shout out to all the family I missed. What's up, Maverick? And Kareem is here. But anyway, it's an important question, and I think there's so many things we could focus on today to show you how many benefits there are being an online music producer. There's so much commerce. The American economy alone is 20 trillion spending power. So how much of that percentage are you getting of the 20 trillion? We need to start thinking way bigger. And that's what this whole conversation is about. So firstly, I'll kick it off with one benefit of the online producer, and I'll ask Curtis King if he agrees, is that you can leverage... Wait, what? I put this weird. Oh, my phone must have corrected it. You can leverage advanced tools. For example, at some point, offline producers use online tools like social media. So eventually, even if you're offline, chances are you're going to be using online tools to get your offline thing running. So what's the difference between offline and online? So from your perspective, let's start with defining offline, industry, and online. The three different terms to you. What do you think?
Right.
As I share this on Facebook.
You said offline.
Offline, online, and then
online.
And then industry, like what people consider industry. I broke this down a long time ago, but
Right.
we'll have another.
I've never heard it as a 3-tier separation, but what I kind of define it as is obviously an industry producer is one that works with industry artists. They pretty much service only major label artists with bigger budgets. They at least that's been the belief. They tend to have more in-studio sessions than anything else. They tend to be aligned with publishing deals, and they kind of handle things in the traditional music business. The online producer is obviously the one that is in the business of e-commerce, in which they sell their instrumentals, they sell their drum kits. They sell their drum kits, instrumentals. Let me turn this off. Their merchandise, their online courses. They pretty much are in business for themselves. So in a sense, they are sort of the entrepreneurial producer. And then I guess the offline producer may be somebody who works with independent artists except they don't have their catalog online. Is what I'm assuming. That's what it is. That's what I mean. If I had to define those three differences.
Yeah, you said something important at the end. They don't have their catalog online. And I think that's the
Right.
main thing that separates online versus offline. If we're talking about, terminology, common terminology, because everybody thinks it's two different worlds. They think that it's completely separate. And again, I've been in situations where I go to studios, my mentor is technically in the industry, but he's offline, but he's still trying to be in the online thing. So like we're both trying to
Right.
live in each world, you know. Um, so let's continue the conversation after breaking it down.
Hmm.
What do you think about leveraging tools as an entrepreneur, period, in the music production space? What do you think about the tools that we use nowadays? Do you use offline posters? Do you put up posters anymore?
I,
Do you wrap your vehicle with your with your company website?
Yeah, it's not necessary. It's not necessary anymore, but because when your presence is so powerful online, and I think that when I say that, I have to preface it because I think a lot of people, a lot of producers instantly think when you say, "Oh, your presence is big online," they associate it with one in particular social media, or they
Hmm.
they they associate it with the amount of followers somebody has, or they associate it, and that's not the truth. We all have sort of our own niche that we fulfill. If you
Hmm.
can find your niche, you can find who it is that you're talking to, who specifically, and once you fulfill that niche, if you service those people the best, you start to have leadership within that particular sector. And in all actuality, when it comes to the utilization of those tools and utilization of that particular demographic, you don't need much.
Hmm.
The most of your energy, I believe, is going to be exerted towards trying new things, seeing what actually works for you, because merchandise doesn't work for everybody, right? It
Right.
took me 12 different shirts before I figured out that the people that I was servicing didn't want shirts, they wanted hats. And so I did one line of dad hats, and then it spawned three different versions of it because I took a chance on it, in a few different colorways. That wouldn't have happened had I not took the chance initially, and lost my money in the process. But I mean, that's the beauty of the internet, is that no matter what, you have a second life to do something. When you meet somebody and they have a
Hmm.
bad impression on you, there is no second chance for most people. Most folks are just not going to do business with you anymore. But
Right.
online, you have the opportunity to where it doesn't matter if I'm the most hated producer where I live or where you live. It doesn't matter. You can
Hmm.
create something online that gives you the opportunity to service people who are in need of the service that you provide. Now, that can be a double-edged sword, because then it means that you get certain people that rise to power in their sector, and they're not necessarily ready to lead people. And when that
Right.
happens, then you start to get some ridiculous things being said. But
Right.
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
Just like I had to turn it down so it doesn't feed back into the mic, but it's hard to hear you. So I'm just gonna turn it right back up. So sorry for the
Okay.
replay viewers who hear that echo. It's because I have my speakers up a little loud, but it's hard to hear. So remember the producer union, like from about a year or two ago, probably a year and a half ago. I think that spawned that situation of now that a certain part of the industry is in a quote unquote crisis or whatever it was at the time. I forget what it was. Producers weren't
Yeah.
getting credited or something. I forget the ordeal. But now it's like, okay, now let's join our enemy, our online producer enemy, and now let's join forces and go against the people. And it was trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Create a position that wasn't there. Like
Yeah.
create leadership that, what am I trying to say? Okay, so we had online producers, offline producers. Offline
Mhm.
producers had this thing happen. I forget what it was. And then they tried to call upon the online producers to join forces for a union to go against the industry, so to speak.
Mhm.
But then the offline producers were trying to gain authority in a section of the community that they didn't have authority. So they tried to
Yeah.
impose their authority. That's what I'm trying to say. And
Right.
what you're saying is like, there is this weird offline online thing. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's in the beginning stages until you get to our levels where we kind of transcend offline or online. But
Right.
there is this weird separation, and we do see certain people as authoritative of this piece of the community. I don't know what it is. It's a weird
Right.
thing. Maybe subgroups. Maybe let's just call it a subgroup.
Yeah, well, subgroups. I mean, no matter what we call it, I think honestly, game, the issue is all these labels that we have to separate these things by. It's none of our doing. Of course, we're just repeating these same sort of subgroups that we've heard for years. Like one term that I didn't like when I first got into hip hop was underground versus mainstream. I didn't like either one of those terms because there was times that I felt like I rock with music that's on the radio. Other times I don't rock with music that's on the radio. I like stuff that's not been heard from the radio. I just like music at the end of the day. But I think that we've been separated, and I think it's been done purposely. You can call me conspiracy theorist if you want, but I think it's been done I think it's been done that way so that we keep ourselves at a certain level and we never actually reach our true potential. If we're arguing over the difference between beat makers and producers, and then we're letting somebody feel like they're a better person than the next person because they're a quote unquote producer, not a beat maker, that's not serving the entire producer community, because at the end of the day, somebody has to start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody has a beginning. Everybody has, an ugly stage of growth. And so I think that these separating terms, these separating titles are the reason why we have sort of that blockage between industry producers and internet producers. At one point in time, internet producers was something that industry producers laughed at. The whole concept of it was you're going to the internet because you can't make it in this industry. And then as people like yourself have come along, as other people in this business have found a way to not just make money. Making money is not the only sign of success. It's one metric. It's one important metric to a lot of us. It's not the only metric. We found ways to generate income, but also make an impact through our voice, make an impact through our lessons, make an impact through, you've told me stories offline about, people that you have touched and impacted that are very reputable within this industry based upon what you've done on the internet. At the end of the day, no matter what somebody tells you, they're coming back to the internet for something. It doesn't matter what it is. They're coming back to the internet for something because the internet is servicing you. Like I have a few numbers that whenever we get to it, I could share just about the e-commerce economy around the world right now. For those who don't know, e-commerce is basically the business of selling physical and digital goods online. So as a producer, that's selling beats, that's merchandise, that's drum kits, sound kits, all that. And so we're in an e-commerce business because we provide a digital product. In 2016, e-commerce businesses, small businesses, e-commerce did 360 million. I think it's $1 million. Okay, I'm looking at this from this graph from this website about retail e-commerce.
E-commerce as a whole.
As a whole for small businesses. No, 2016. That was 360. Okay. So 2017 it was 409,208,000, and then 2018 it was 461 million. Right. So this basically says this statistic gives information on retail e-commerce sales in the United States from 2016 and projected up until 2022. So it says in 2016, online sales of physical. Actually, I'm sorry, I misquoted. 360 billion. That's why you asked me twice.
Yeah, I was like,
okay. That don't sound right. No, 360 billion. I don't know why I said million. Yeah. 360 billion. It's projected to reach at least 603 billion by 2021.
Sheesh.
Billion. There's only 7 billion people on the earth, and we know every one of them don't have a dollar in their pocket. So what does that tell you? That tells you don't need every single human being on earth to like your music, like your beats, like your stuff. You need a small sector to make a living at it. You just got to figure out what is it that starts with very few right now, but has so much power that it brings more people to you. And the more you start to service those people, the better you service them, the more income you'll naturally make, because it's just an echo of the value that you're giving. So yeah, I misquoted. It's actually billion.
Wow, that's insane.
But yeah. It's insane. Like right now, we're not even halfway through the year, or we're getting ready to be halfway. We're at the halfway point, 461 billion. And that's already surpassed last year's entire total.
Goodness. It's a wonderful thing because it makes you think about like how this world is set up. So you have the physical world, and then you have the mirror of the physical world, which is this virtual world, basically a world that's unseen, so to speak. But then we're using images and things from the real world. So it's a mirror of the real world. And this is how, like, if you think about video games like Grand Theft Auto, they were successful because they mirrored the real world and put it into a game. The same thing's happening everywhere with e-commerce. Like you said, the stats are going up and up and up. Why? Because just like Toys R Us, certain companies aren't surviving the way they run, and because the logistics are too costly offline. But if they start doing stuff online, they can cut costs and survive and do all these things. So the companies that aren't adapting to this market change into this online thing are getting slapped in the face. And I think that's where this resistance is coming from when it comes to all these studios shutting down. It's not that music is vanishing. I think that's the biggest lie, is that music is somehow disappearing. Like, if you look at all the stats from music, okay, CD sales went down. So what? That's just one form of a product. That's like saying you're going to sell, well, I guess Nike's pretty good at this, but saying you're only going to sell shoes for the rest of your life. But they also sell more stuff to balance out.
Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, dry fits is just as successful as a lot of their products too.
So, CDs might have gone down, but then you got streaming blowing up like crazy. I don't know the streaming stats. I didn't look them up prior to this conversation, but I want you to go look at the streaming stats and look at the exchange of energy between CDs and streaming. All it did was transfer into a new medium, into a new thing. Just like we don't buy tapes anymore. Now we buy CDs. Now we don't buy CDs anymore. We stream. It's just a new way of consuming a thing. And with streaming, it's even better because now we can track how many times somebody's actually listening to an album. I don't know how many times I hit play, and repeat on my Kanye graduation album back in high school. I have no way to track that. There's no stats on it. But now these apps are keeping track. So since you spoke about revenue, I wrote my next point was that offline back-end revenue always relies on an artist's success. For example, if you're the producer in the machine and you're just, instead of you lifting up an artist, you're the person working for that artist. Okay, you're like a work for hire or somebody under the artist umbrella. They hired you. They brought you in. It's not the other way around. Your results are based on how good the artist does. So like, it doesn't matter how much work or effort you put in. It's up to them to carry the baton. And like,
Right.
and everybody else to carry the baton, not just them either. But so what do you think about that? And I have some other points I wrote. I know my brain is all over the place, but
No, you're good. You're
it's
good.
the
'Cause
same with,
I feel like we're staying on. I feel like we're staying
We're
on
on point.
subject more than usual.
yeah, my brain is just going a million ways. I'm trying to, what's coming out my mouth is different. So the same with affiliate marketing and why those collapse usually, like network MLM marketing. The reason why MLM, not affiliate, sorry, MLM is what I meant to put. MLM marketing, multi-level marketing, is based on somebody who has other people under them selling stuff for them, but they can only get as much as the people under them sell. So the moment the people under them stop selling, a lot, their income goes down, and they have no control over that whole system. And that's what's happening when you invest in one person to get everything for you. Like it's not really an entrepreneurial mindset. It's more like an employee mindset. Can you help me like elaborate on what I'm trying to say?
You talking about in
Meaning-
terms of people who go to the industry?
Yeah, like you're just
What?
like the mentality. Here's to better explain. Like the mentality of if I give him this and he blows up, I'm gonna just reap the rewards without doing anything. Like,
Well, when you're in the industry, you're in the business. You're not in the business of selling beats. You're in the business of seed planting. Because every single garden does not reap the same benefits. You go work with an artist that just got signed, and you get his first records when you first get over there, and you work with an industry rapper. That doesn't guarantee you anything. And in this article that I wrote for DJ Booth, I mentioned that in there is that I planted seeds because I was told that this is the game. This is the way you do it. You got to get in as many sessions as you can. And the more seeds you plant, eventually one of those is going to sprout into a placement. And then that placement is going to sprout into more opportunities. And then that's just the way that it works back and forth. Not for everyone, but that's the way it generally works. But here's the thing about it is that it puts you in a position where you're always relying upon when somebody's releasing a project. You're always relying upon when when a label has to okay it. There's a lot more avenues that people have to go through before the music even gets out for these rappers. When it comes to independent artists can come buy a beat from me today, spend his money that he had from work, and rap on that beat and put it out the same night on Spotify. There's no middle ground between that. You get a customer that gets service, and then there's that. But with the industry, it is about, you have to plant seeds. You're not in the business of selling beats. People are not just going in there, coming in session after session and saying, here's $50,000, make me a beat. That's not what's happening. Especially folks who are just getting their foot in the door. My first placement, I got paid $500 in 2010. And at that time, for producers who were like the first placement, they were like, yo, that's actually really, really good for you to even get that. Nobody gets paid that much. And I was like, this is an entry level amount? I was like, I worked all this time to get this? Really? And not that I was, putting my nose up at it, but then it let me know, like, yo, you're actually in a position where you don't run shit. When you're in the industry, you don't run nothing. The people who run it are the people who finance the studio, the people who finance the studio time, the ones that tell the artists when they should be on the road and when they should stay home, the ones that put you in the room with other people, the ones that send the A&Rs to your session. Those are the true ones that are the puppet masters that run that.
Right.
What happens with the online music producer is that you are all that for yourself now. Obviously there are entities like the BeatStars and the Airbits that provide a service that allow you to basically leverage that for your own business. But when it comes down to it, I mean, you still have other avenues, like even like a Sellfy. Sellfy, SELLFY.com is a website that allows you to sell digital downloads. You can sell PDFs, music videos, you can sell beats, whatever you want to sell, you can sell on at drum kits. I know the homie Decap has sold drum kits on there. So there's so much opportunity for you to do that. It's just a matter of what do you feel more comfortable doing. Some people feel more comfortable being in an environment where they're always around people who are sort of, famous or have like a lot going on for them. People feel better about being in that environment. I can't judge anybody for that. And then there's other people who say, you know what, I'd rather service the dude that's working a regular 9-to-5, that has a dream, who needs quality production, and he's willing to pay right here, right now, no politics. That for me represents the kind of life I want to have, because I get to wake up, work on beats, make the best music I could ever make, however I want to, whenever I want to, and then put it up online. And then somebody I didn't know this. I got fans in Maine that want to hear Curtis King beats. I wouldn't know that if I was only going in sessions in LA trying to session with this rapper and this rapper and this rapper. But now that I know that that's out there, look, at their money is green like anybody else's money. And I tell you, me dealing with them, I feel a lot better dealing with them than rappers that I meet in the industry, because I don't know, man, this industry does a lot of exposing to who people's true characters are. And I've met a lot. There's some good people, but then there's a lot of people who, in defense of such a cutthroat industry, they become different people, or they become more of who they already are. So I would never tell anybody, I would tell you this, anybody that you listen to, whether it's Game, myself, hold us accountable. You should never ever hear us talking in absolutes. If somebody tells you that something is absolutely dead, something is absolutely done, do not trust them. Run as fast as you possibly can away from them. Purists are the ones that end up taking you down in the ship with them. Don't follow that route. Listen to the people who are open to other perspectives, who are assertive in their own opinions. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion, but people who talk in absolutes, you got to watch out for that, because there is no absolutes when it comes to the internet. Because the thing about it is, nobody knows what this is going to be. Nobody knew what this was going to be 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody could have predicted 10 years ago that taxis would be replaced with Uber. Nobody could have predicted that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or that delivery guys are going to one day be replaced by self-driving vehicles. Like, nobody could have predicted that and known that was going to happen.
I agree. And the biggest mistake, again, I wrote this somewhere. I'm starting to lose track of where I write stuff now. I think it was on Twitter. I was like, just because people are in the limelight does not mean they're really getting it. Like, financially, entrepreneurial wise, like, a lot of people, they're seen as like this figure. Like, we look up to, like, a lot of not little kids. Why am I keep saying weird stuff today? I didn't wake up yet. Guys, I have not been up for more than 3 hours. I apologize. I was up till 6 a.m. last night. My brain isn't fully functional. All right. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of people put these weird role models up as if they're worth following. Like, we mentioned this before, like, people who don't really have leadership qualities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to run something, but they're not really a leader. But people still look up to them for the wrong, because they think they can achieve something by following them. But in reality, they're not building that for themselves. So that's, you know, that's what we call false prophets and all that. It's not that they're out to be malicious about it. It's just you don't realize what it really takes to run a business. Like being an entrepreneur takes a lot of skill. You have to learn how to run a team.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
It takes a lot of skill. Like it's very, very hard to be an entrepreneur. It's not like just set up a website and everything works. It's so much more than setting up a website. It's a thousand things.
I'm sorry. You were in the middle of the point. I'm sorry. Go ahead again.
Half times that I need to leave the models alone. I need to go back out and do another music video. We'll be in ATL June 23rd with Trizza and Sound Oracle, by the way, doing another seminar. This is kind of last minute. I was just invited to it, but just something to throw out there. Okay, I wrote notes. So let me go through my notes.
Okay.
I think this is holding up my brain cells because it's in the back of my head. So I said that. Okay. So people who aren't really getting it long-term money-wise, who aren't really setting up a business, a lot of people are following that quick money because they think that's going to last forever. You know, like you can get 5 million in 2 years.
Right.
And that's it. And you can max out, or you can over 20 years get 500 or 50 million, 10 times that over, a longer period of time. But people just focus on the brightest light at the moment, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it leads you down the wrong path. Authority figures. Somebody asked, I forget who it was, forgive me. Who are the authority figures offline and online? Who do you think?
Offline. Authority figure. Well, that's the thing about it. Like
I mean, perception-wise, not like that they are anything.
Well, honest, and I'm gonna be real with you. And it's gonna sound like people probably would trip out over this. I don't really pay attention. I don't pay attention because I feel like by the time that I identify somebody as a leading voice, 2 months from now, something happens and then somebody else is in that position based upon somebody else's perspective. I don't pay attention to anyone. And I think that unless you fall on my radar, I really don't follow your moves. Like unless it's somebody that I actually do business with, like Game. Like I do business with Game. So, and that's my brother. So I'm gonna always, check for new stuff that he has coming out. But even then, like today we're having a discussion. He talked about a product with me that I had no idea that he even had. But for the most part, like I don't look at anybody within our industry as somebody that I need to follow the standard of. I follow God. I follow I don't know. Like I follow my own failures. Kanye said a line in his last project where he was like, I don't listen to people that's as successful as me. And I had to think about it for a second. I was like, it might be Kanye being Kanye. But I thought about it and I was like, you know what? If somebody is only seeing what you can see, what makes them a benefit to where you're trying to go? What makes their perspective a benefit to where you're trying to go? That's why when you talk about masterminds and you talk about people that are on a different level, they can provide you a mindset and provide you information that can help you grow. But honestly, like you have to ask the community. Because like I said, I don't watch nobody's YouTubes. I don't check nobody's Twitter accounts. And you could say I'm being in my own shell, in my own box. I got things I got to do. I got goals I got to accomplish. It's hard for me to sit up here and like politic about that. I'd have to politic about that when I'm 70. Somebody said Lil Pump is an authority figure. He might be. He might be one of the greatest online producers we've ever met. I don't know.
I'm back and forth on Facebook and YouTube. I had to turn off my mic because I was typing too much. To answer you, Isaiah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut into the stream, but vocal mixing courses for like making your voice sound good over music. Music theory is about playing chords on your piano, playing chords with your guitar, that type of stuff. So that's what it's about, composition. I didn't mean to cut into the stream, but like it's hard to type it out, so I just wanted to answer that. I'm on Facebook and YouTube chats.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that it has to do with any kind of arrogance. LSO said Curtis has been a changed man since Kanye. Nah, honestly, I've been a changed man since I had my son, and he gave me his little life gave me so much clarity that I kind of had before he was here, but never as clear as it is today. It gave me so much clarity to being like, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the politics, a lot of the who's the leader here, who's the man, a lot of that stuff is not going to matter in 3 years. A lot of that stuff is not going to matter when we're 75, 78. Gary Vee just made a post today about, basically like bringing to attention all the people who are going to be 68, going to be 75 one day, looking back and realizing, man, I didn't even try YouTube because I was too afraid to do it because everybody said it was dead. I didn't even try to sell my beats online because, somebody I looked up to said it no longer works. I didn't even try to go into business for myself. Like, I was listening to Les Brown this morning, and he had a seminar that was like in 1990 something, but it still applies today. He said, do you know that human beings are the only creatures that have mastered the skill of dying on a certain day and dying at a certain time on average?
Wait, say it again?
Okay, you get me? You follow me? He said human beings are the only creatures on this earth that have mastered they have mastered the art of dying on a certain day and during a specific time of that day. You know what day that is and what time?
Oh, what?
Monday morning between 6 and 7. It's when most folks are having heart attacks.
Oh, wow.
On the way to work. Why? Because people are not living fulfilled lives and people are not happy. Another thing he said is that they hate these jobs, but known heavens are better than unknown hells. What did he say? He said known hells are better than unknown heavens. That's what it is.
Right.
And he said that there was a time where there was this company that was getting ready to go bankrupt, and they gave people an opportunity. They said, look, we're going to fire a bunch of people, but we'll give you $300,000 to basically just quit today. And he said about only 30% of people took the $300,000. The rest of the people stayed there because of the security of having a job. They were so afraid of their own independence. They were so afraid of going and doing something for themselves. You think that doesn't apply to some producers in our community? There's a lot of folks, man. There's a lot of folks right now that are afraid to live. They are more looking forward to death than they are to living, because death is easier. Death means they get to give up on all of this.
Money Madden said today is Monday. That was funny.
Yeah, rest in peace to whoever. Rest in peace to whomever had that. I'm pretty, because like I said, that stat was in the 90s, but I'm pretty sure that's got to still apply to a certain degree.
And like you said earlier, there's a difference between making money, because somebody's talking about money, and like fulfillment and knowing that you're creating so much influence and impact. There's a difference between money and impact. Put it that way. Now you can do good things with money. I'm not saying money's bad, but I meant to do this a while ago. Sorry, Veronica. Shout out to Veronica for joining earlier. My bad. She said she got the notification late. I'm late on shouting you out. Somebody asked earlier. I'm trying to like keep this, on track, but these are old comments. Okay, old notes. So somebody asked, they feel the industry is ubiquitous or non-existent because everybody's trying to do the same thing. So do you have any quick comments about that one?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I could never understand a producer telling another producer to not sell their beats online and go do the industry thing. To me, that seems like, don't shop at Amazon to get what you want. Go to this mom and pop store that's in this obscure street that you need entry. You need to have, a member access to get into, right? It can only fit 15 people in there, instead of going to Amazon. I feel like the logic in that's ridiculous. Why would you tell somebody to stop doing business in an atmosphere where it's growing by the hundreds of billions every single year with e-commerce, to go do something else and where it's more competition and less space for people to go and work in? That does not make any sense to me. But there's a lot of people who are pushing that narrative. And so what it does is, and here's the dangerous part about it, and this is even something dangerous that I've even contributed to as well. It puts a lot of producers in a gray area where they don't do anything at all. A lot of producers fall in this place where they either are too afraid to sell their beats, but at the same time, they don't have any connections. So they kind of sit in the middle ground and they'll listen to our videos and then they'll watch interviews with these producers and they don't do anything at all. Then you got the other producers that have only the that try to sell beats online, don't sell anything, and then they're convinced there's nothing here, not knowing that they're biased by their own perspective. You only have one perspective. Right? Like, I'm trying to see if I can use something as an example. Let me see if I got something.
Like if you grew up in a house, like my dog.
Yeah.
Never mind, it's a better example.
Let me use an example real quick.
Yeah.
If I put these shorts up right here, these shorts right here, okay? Now, if I have this leg up here like this, and you see this, here's how perspectives work. You're gonna see these colors in this particular order. If I ask you what's the top color right now, you're gonna say white. If you ask me what top color is for me, I'll say yellow. Same situation with producers who don't sell beats for a few months and they say that nobody's selling beats online. No. Right. Because why would somebody continuously put money into something that they're losing at? That's called gambling. That's not even like people would not have these comfortable livings. You would not see our faces like this if that was what it was. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know that wasn't the short answer you were looking for, but that's definitely something, the way that I would approach that.
Yeah, I'm just going through the notes I wrote, just hot, quick answers. Then I have like a steady guideline for the conversation. But I know this is sporadic, but this is from the chat.
Sure.
And like you said, there was a point in there. I should have just said it. You said they don't sell a couple online and they give up. I lost my point. I'm sorry. But somebody said, oh, here's the conversation. Somebody asked why the split in the industry online and offline. I guess, like, okay, let me explain my perspective. My perspective is that when you're in the industry, you deal with a lot more stuff that's already done for you, like paperwork, like a 1099 or a W-9. You deal with that type of stuff. You deal with a split sheet, sometimes a Q sheet if you're dealing with film, or you deal with, deals with if you have an entertainment lawyer, you go over contractual stuff. But when you're starting online for yourself, you may not even have any of that. Like, you don't even know where to begin with the quote unquote paperwork of a business. You have no idea. Sometimes people don't even use it. So it's a disconnect because one side of the industry is already kind of like in a pre-made system. They're already kind of running it how they run it. Things are so monotonous and things are so by the book. I mean, like, they're so running the mill is what I'm trying to say. Like, everybody does it just because other people do it. You know what I mean? Like, not that they know why they're doing it, but just because this other person does it, they're going to do it. Like, when people learn mixing, they put a distressor and an EQ on the kick every time just because the person who showed them how to do it did it. They don't know why they're doing it. They just do it every single time in that chain. So that's what I think separates, this split between online and offline. Just to answer your question, if you joined in late to the live stream, there's so many comments, I can't read them all, and it's really hard to read on this display I'm looking at. But here's a good question. Somebody asked, should music producers sign to labels, or what do we think about them signing to labels? Music producers. Usually when you hear about music producer signing anything, it's to a pub deal, which is basically banking on your ability to write songs, good songs that get placed, so to speak, on projects. And they're kind of paying you up front, assuming that you're going to make more money for them long term. That's kind of what a pub deal is, in my opinion. So what do you think about music producers signing to labels, so to speak? Like signing an in-house producer to work on only their artists or something like that?
Yeah, well, I've seen that happen and be beneficial, and I've seen it happen more times than not and be a headache for the producer, because the producer gets stuck basically being someone else's employee. You get stuck basically aligning all of your music to be like what the other rapper wants it to be. So the rapper says, oh, today I'm on this Chance the Rapper type vibe. Okay, so let's make you some Chance the Rapper type beats. Oh, you know what? I'm off of that now. Now I'm kind of on this whatever new record drops. Oh, man, I want this Kendrick Lamar type sound. Okay, so now we're on this Kendrick. Oh, man, that Kanye was crazy. Did you hear it? Hey, I kind of want to get on that now. And that can become your new perspective. And one day you're going to sit up and unless you love doing that, unless you are as indecisive as the producer, one day you're going to look up and you're going to say, I did not start making music to make music like everybody else. I did not start making music just to be a carbon copy of everybody else. And I don't want to make a blanketed statement of the industry because it doesn't all work like that. Right. But I can tell you that the horror stories that I have heard are from people who say, I wish I didn't sign that deal, no matter how much money. And I have some friends that have sold, they basically have signed deals, publishing deals that change their lives for the good and the bad. Because once you sign that, you have a responsibility. You must fulfill your contract obligations. Right. And you know, it's going to quickly feel like you're not making music anymore. You are working a job, and music just it's almost like. It's almost like how, you know, you'll be working in a warehouse. Remember when I worked in a warehouse, I was so happy when the boss came and said, oh, you guys can listen to music while you're at work. And like, I was like, oh man, that's dope. And then I thought about it. I was like, but I'm still at work. Like that don't make, I mean, it makes it a little bit better, but I'm still at work. I don't really want to be here. I'm only here for the paycheck. And so the way I look at it now is that, you know, they're kind of like, they use the fact that this is something that they know you love, it's your dream, and I could never. Nobody that I'm associated with, if they ever ask me, I would say hell no. If you were asking my advice, I would say hell no. Go build it on your own. But like I said, everybody's different. Everybody's different. You got to look at your situation and say, you know, you may be in a situation where it's like, you know what, I cannot afford right now. That's your mindset is I cannot afford right now to build something on my own. If that's the way you want to view it, that's the way you want to view it. I think it's bullshit. But that's the way you want to view it, that's on you. You got to make sure that you get in a situation that's aligned with your needs at this moment. My thing is this, and I got this from a tattoo artist. Don't make permanent decisions for temporary setbacks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right.
Don't make a decision to sign to a label unless they are giving you exactly what you feel like you deserve and more. Plus your growth. It's going to represent your growth too. Do not let somebody basically sign you off of your do not let them sign you off of the desperation of today is what I'm basically saying. That's not fair to you and it's not fair to your future. Because one day what you have is not going to be enough. One day you'll look around and say, yeah, I'm making this money, but I'm not happy. I haven't even made a beat for myself in such a long, that's what you're going to say. That's what I said. You know, so find the place that makes you happy, start from there, and then figure out the kind of life that you want to live. Some people don't like being in a studio all day long with other artists. I don't. I cannot stand being in smoky ass studios. Call me a square if you want. I don't give a damn. I can't stand being in smoky studios. I can't stand being around, you know, rappers drinking all night and then don't want to do no work. I can't stand being the only workhorse in there. And then all of a sudden I got to go from producer to engineer and I don't know nothing about Pro Tools. That don't make me happy. And then leaving there at 3 a.m. and feeling like I got nothing done. I could have got more done at home. It's on you. You may like that. You may be like, yo, I'm in the trenches. I'm in here working. You know, we smoking all this stuff. We having a good time. Look, I'm not here to tell you not to do that. I'm just telling you, for me, hell no. Hell no. There's no way in hell you can get me. I'm in my home right now. I work on a beat, put that together, I'll go make me a sandwich. Okay? Come back to my computer, make a beat, pick my son up, hold him, kiss him on the face, watch SpongeBob with him. Go back and make some beats again. Put it up online. Put it up on put it up on my YouTube. Folks are going crazy over the record. Put it up on streaming. Generate income while I'm watching SpongeBob with my son. You can have whatever life you want to have. For somebody who may be achievement driven, that's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but that's not enough. I want more. I want to be this. I want to be this. People want power, and that's cool. But for me, that makes me happy. And for me, I would rather judge the success of my life by the amount of happiness I have, not the amount of money. Because money comes all day, every day here. That don't make me happy. The freedom that I feel as a byproduct of that, sure, that I feel really good about that. But really, for me, it's the freedom of choice, the freedom of you don't see the, if you look at videos of me in 2010, you see heavier bags. I'm fatter because I was eating like crazy hours. I was tired. My energy was different. You look at me now, you wouldn't even recognize who I am. And it wasn't just the money that did that. It was the fact that now I am not a part of an industry that dictates everything for me. It wasn't fair to the kind of life that I wanted to live.
You tapped
You know,
on
now I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you tapped on like every point I was gonna bring up, but we'll go back over them.
I'm
You spoke
sorry.
about
I'm
like
sorry
time
about that, bro.
freedom. No, you were going in though. You were going in. Go ahead.
I
Let me get that.
was gonna say, like, and even aside from that, like knowing that. Here's the thing about it, because producers are like, okay, where do I start, Curtis? You talk about all this stuff online. Where do I start? How do I find my small sector? Start with one thing that brings you happiness first, but then also brings you success. It may be something as small as on social media, you're talking about sports. It may be the point where you're a producer that loves talking about basketball. You're a diehard Laker fan, right? Diehard Golden State Warriors fan. You talk about it on Twitter. You start to build an audience of people who are basketball fans and music fans. It turns into a podcast where now you're giving a sports, analysis, but at the same time you're playing your beats in the background. All of a sudden, you're bringing in rappers who are fans of basketball and your commentary, and they're buying your beats and your merchandise for your podcast. The thing about it is it always starts with something that you love right now. It may be Fortnite. You got to figure out what it is, that small microcosm first. Because if you don't figure out what makes you happy, you're going to generate income some other way and not be happy about it. That's why, like, I thank God that I was not successful when I was sending records off. Like, I used to submit records off to Lil Wayne, to Tiger. I was submitting records off to who else? Chris Brown, T.I. I thank God they did not pick those records, because if they would have picked the records that I sent to them trying to be like their style, I would have never found my sound. If I'd have never found my sound, I would have had to copy that success over and over and over and over again, and then I would be put into a situation where it's like Lex Luger. I love Lex Luger's beats. I love his impact on the culture, but that man got replaced, and his sound got duplicated so much. They disregarded. They said, we don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore like we used to. He used to be on every single trap record that came out. Now you don't even hear his name with that. Now they got him featured with like EDM DJs, which is good for him, but he should be getting a lot more respect than what he's getting right now, in my opinion, for what he means to the culture. But that's the way they do it, is when they find your sound, people don't know Lex Luger samples. You'll never hear a sample beat. Why? Because Schoolboy Q was the only one that rapped over one of his sample beats. But once you get success in one thing in the industry, you are held down to that. They don't want to hear nothing else you have. They want the success that you had with that last record. Oh, no. Don't play me your slow R&B beats. Play me that trap. That's what you got. So-and-so got a #1 record with that. Give me that.
True.
So yeah, just make sure that whatever you align yourself is happiness first. I cannot stress that enough.
And you jumped into the next point. What I guess you didn't even know. I wrote this in my notes, but one thing about being a music producer in a highly creative copyright environment, which is music, is that the job of a music producer is not fully scalable if you're just trying to be that in the studio person working hour for hour, or just custom making everything every single time. It's not scalable. For example, you can't scale an extremely... I'm going through my notes. Okay, it's on being online, you can be scalable. You can create one thing and let that one thing multiply for you over and over and over and over and over. Whereas if you're in the studio doing custom songs or exclusives or whatever the deal is with the label or the pub deal, and to answer your question, AT Music, you said if a producer signs to a label, don't they still have to get placements, or are placements guaranteed through the contract? When you work with a label, their job, they're trying to get you to work with them exclusively, so they have somebody to go to all the time for whatever they need for their music requirements. So in that theory, depending on who their artists are, that would be called a placement. You would place with their artists because they need you to make the music so the artists can get on it so they can put out their products. So that's why they're signing producers. So yes, in theory, you're getting placements, but it depends on what you consider a placement. I had to answer that question before I jump into this, because online is fully scalable. Freaking notifications, get out of my way. Fully scalable. You cannot scale an extremely customizable product. It's just like Okay, so think about luxury cars. Even luxury cars have duplicates, like Ferraris. It's not just one Ferrari, the next Ferrari, another custom Ferrari. It's like a line of Ferraris, like the what's a Ferrari? Somebody help me in the chat. Like the F50, 50 Cent used to talk about, or the Italia Spider, whatever the Spider is. They don't custom make those every single time. They can, I mean, in theory, they can custom make it, change out the leathers and change out the materials, but those are variants. They're not creating a whole new Ferrari every single time. The 458 is a Ferrari. So every car is not fully custom. Variations are not the customizations I'm speaking about. So talk about scalability online versus the exclusive hustle, or like the work for hire hustle, which is just either they're buying your time with the work for hire, or
Right.
you know, what do you think about your online scalability, making one thing and then leveraging that one thing to do multiple things?
Well, I think that before I address that, I got to address the fact that we are living in a different age where the way people consume music, especially because of, and I don't think it's because of streaming. I think streaming happened because of the way that the habits of human beings changed, and that we don't consume things over and over like we used to, right? We kind of consume them one or two times, and then we're kind of done with it and move on to the next thing. So I think that now, what was the point that I was going to get at? The
Just-
question, repeat the question one more time.
Yeah, the point is having your own, just like you said, you can make something, play with your son, and get paid immediately or in the same day. You don't have to be in a studio. You don't have to be somewhere. You don't have to do something very specific for one specific person every single time. So you have that creates time freedom for you. So now you can do what you want, which means here's the difference between, you know, entrepreneurs. Let's not even say online, offline. Entrepreneurs versus people who aren't entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs don't exchange time for money unless they're getting paid like top dollar. They're not going to exchange their time for money. They do something to where they can leverage that thing to buy them more time. So, for example, you might create something in your studio that takes you 2 hours, a beat.
I just got it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just got it right now.
Yeah.
What you saying that because of the habits of buyers today, because of the habits of people that are within the music community, people who are buying from the music community, your biggest issue, and I got this from Grant Cardone's 10X rule, for any small business, for anybody who is off the radar or not on the radar enough, your biggest issue is scare. Not what is it? I'm sorry. It's what does he call it?
Scarcity?
Not scarcity. Your biggest
You said being
obscurity.
an
Obscurity. Your biggest issue is obscurity, which means nobody knows who the hell you are, right?
Yeah.
Just because someone has, you know, 1 million followers on YouTube does not guarantee that everybody at their supermarket is going to recognize who they are, right? So your biggest issue is obscurity. If your biggest issue is nobody knows who the hell you are, what makes you think you have the luxury of exclusivity? Some people associate exclusivity always with bringing them power, and that's not always the situation. For many people, they have to oil the machine in the very beginning, get that machine rolling so good that one day they just chill, and then they start to make it more exclusive. Then it ups the value. Then they can change the pricing. Why? Because it's already been proven as a concept that works. It's already been proven as a product that works. For producers online, it may not be your first 100 beats where you start to make your first $1,000 in a month, right? It may be your next 200 beats before you make your first 600. The point is, are you willing to put that work in? Because what's happening is not just the fact that you're making more beats, you're getting better with time. The producer you are today should never be the producer you are in 6 months, not even in 3 months. You should be such an evolved creature from the last time you checked in. And if that's being told, the moment that you get online and you're trying to sell your beats online, you're not even going to be the same salesperson that you were 3-4 months ago. You know, I remember there was a time period where when I was on MySpace, I did send a bunch of messages, auto messages and comments to try to hit people up and like, oh man, check my beats out, yada, yada, yada. And it took me sort of going through that process at early 20s before I realized that's not the way to go. So when I came to Twitter, fresh out the gate, I refused to jump into DMs. I refused to do all of that extra stuff. I said, I'm going to find a way that makes me so in demand. You have to come to me for something, whether it's my graphic design skills, whether it's my video editing skills, whether it's my marketing information. Somehow, some way, you got to come to me. And when I did that, I'm telling you, when you build something that's quality, people come to you because they want quality for themselves, right? Especially if they think that it's cheap right now, right? So right. You got to figure it out for yourself. I made my first money as a producer, not selling beats. I made my first money as a producer selling MySpace HTML layouts. It was a rapper in Arizona who needed like this like Western theme for his MySpace page. I just so happened to pick up HTML in high school. And so I took that information, made him a layout. He was like, that's dope. Sent me over $50. That was my first money. You know, don't get so caught up in thinking like, oh man, I'm not selling beats, man. That means I suck. Nobody's trying to buy my stuff. Keep oiling that machine. Keep working at it stubbornly, almost like a robot. Don't worry about, oh man, nobody. Pay attention to the metrics that are moving. Are you getting more plays now? Cool. That should tell you about the type of beats that people at least are more interested in than the other ones. Like if I started right now and I had no beat sales, but I had plays, I'm like a hound dog looking at all that information. Okay, this particular beat got 400 more plays than any other beat. Okay, why would that be my best beat? Well, I use only 4 or 5 instruments in it, so it's wide open for rappers. Well, it's my only trap beat. Maybe I should make more beats like that. And then go on a tinge where you make about 15 beats, not like that beat, but in the same energy space, in the same structure. That's the way you do it. But it's not going to be one piece of advice that I give you, that game gives you, that all of a sudden you're getting $3,000 a month. That's not the way it works.
True.
I was lucky enough to have a mentor in the very first month of mine where I could mirror his success habits. And because I was actually a developed producer, I was able to mimic more than just his marketing habits. I could bring music to the marketplace that nobody else was trying to bring. It was sample hip hop beats that nobody else was making. Nobody had access to like the TDE, Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, Schoolboy Q, J-Rock soulful sound. I was the only producer online that was providing that because I was actually authentically from that world. That's what made me find my small sector. So for you, you know, is it more competitive than it was when I was there? Maybe. But you still got to find what's yours. You still got to find what it is that's yours that's going to work for you. It's not going to be the same thing that worked for me. I promise you that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's you attract business. Like for example, on my Instagram, I'm not chasing models anymore. I remember in the beginning where I was like following models constantly, doing all this hard work, chasing, just trying to find certain people. Now models follow me. I don't even know how they found out about the page. It's not like I have a billion followers, but good looking models are now following me because now they see the value I can add to them. It's not like I'm not trying to get with them. They see the value that I'm creating for these other models. So they're saying, oh, he's a value creator for my community. He's somebody to follow. So I'm attracting this. I'm not chasing it. It's a difference between chasing and attracting. That's a whole different conversation because that's about branding and all these other things. Quickly, I want to answer K-Swave's question, or Suave, sorry. He says, how do you market beats? I wrote this down in the notes. How do you market beats online that aren't type beats? But I'm going to answer that real quick, but I wrote other notes too, just to stay current. Okay, so type beat is just a keyword, just like SEO. I think you spoke about SEO earlier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just it's a keyword. There's other keywords. That's my answer. Somebody asked, or I wrote this in my notes, highly creative products versus processes of services. So you were talking about
I'm gonna highlight this question. Huh? I'm sorry. I'm gonna highlight this question by AT Music too. I think it's a great question to address. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Earlier, like 10 minutes ago, you were talking about, like, okay, here's my example in my head that I pulled out. So in other industries, like statue business, they make statues out of clay. It's the same process. It's a creative process, and it's the same clay block, the same step-by-step thing that they're doing, and they create, an end result. Whereas in music, when you create processes and you exchange time for your services, you can't really scale that. that's the difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, for example, in music, this song has to be different than the next song. So no matter how many steps that I follow to create the same thing, it has to be a little bit different than the other song, or else I'm just creating the same song over and over and over
Right.
again. But in other industries, if I do the same step-by-step process, I can make one little tweak and get a different shape of the nose for the statue. Or even if it's the same process, I can create now 1,000 statues that all look the same. And I can sell those 1,000 statues even though I'm spending my time. And that's the difference in music. It's so highly creative that you're almost defeating yourself by constantly customizing that product each time and exchanging your time for money in that case. That's the whole, again, it's a whole theory behind that. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, you want to do something that comes natural to you, but more difficult to others. Like you want to build your business off of that. Because what comes easy to you, but harder for others is a service that you can provide to other people.
Right.
So find out what that thing is. Like AT Music just said something, man, you making some good points, bro. AT Music Productions. He said, he mentions 50 Cent. 50 Cent came at a time where lyricists were making mainstream songs. Mm-hmm. He in the very beginning had the signs of a lyricist, but obviously we're getting shot in the mouth with the whole like, you know, kind of slurring thing. He changed his whole style up, simplified the entire process, even Kendrick, before Kendrick Lamar was Kendrick Lamar, if you ever listen to K-Dot records, his lyrics were so like detailed, and they were so like choppy and sometimes sounding really Lil Wayne-ish. And then he said, you know what? Change my name, simplify the lines, tell just complete simplicity. And that made all the difference for him. Why? Because he found something that came easy. Lyricism came easy for him. So now he had to find a way to sort of like, always compare this to street ball players. If you ever watched a street ball player, they dribble all day long, right? That's all they do. They go behind the back. That's their skill set. But you don't see that in the NBA. You don't see somebody just showing off and dribbling. They get benched if they do that. But they do break it out when they need to get out of like say they got two defenders. They'll find a way to do that. So find what that skill set is that comes easy to you, more difficult to others, and figure out how to use it and utilize it at its most perfect times. And you don't want to have to try to. And what I'm saying, I know probably went all over the place. What I'm saying is basically this, producers: find the sound that comes so easy to you and evolve that. Stop trying to strengthen your weaknesses.
Right.
Strengthen your strengths. Find how to strengthen your strengths. Like put your strengths on steroids. Because whatever it is, somebody may say, man, you're a one-trick pony, man. You can't. All you make is these loud trap beats. One day you'll be the guy that they'll come to for those loud trap beats because you simply were the one that held it down. I got a rapper homie named Triz right now that he's been making West Coast hip hop since West Coast hip hop wasn't cool. Like within a recent generation, like the New West. Like 2000, 10, 11, 12, he was making West Coast music, West Coast hip hop, like traditional West Coast type beats.
Right.
And now he's like the young guy that came into the game and owns that space in the eyes of people who don't know him. People who do know him knows he's been running this already. He's been doing this. And I'm saying it's the same thing with you. You got to figure out what that thing is for you that comes so easy. Don't worry about what's on the radio right now. If you're a boom bap producer, dude, just be a boom bap producer, but find ways to use more evolutionary sounds that fill into that vibe. Maybe don't use a sample chop. Maybe find out how to get certain progressions through pads and then try to add that to your boom bap drums. Maybe use trap sounds with boom bap rhythms. Figure it out. You got to find it out for yourself, but you got to do what naturally comes to you. And then from there, evolve that thing that you have that's your bread and butter. Don't go looking for a whole nother plate. Evolve your bread and butter.
Right. There's a lot of good questions being posed, so we got to run through them before they disappear. But at the same time, I want to add to your... We talked about time management last time, and I think producers just don't have skills. That's what we're here for. Like busyworksbeats.com has a bunch of courses to strengthen your skills, your vocal mixing skills, your music production skills, your sound selection, your music theory skills. It's all there, but producers don't have the skills, and they're trying to up their value based on nothing. They have no skills. So first you have to get a skill, then you up your value, and then you delegate your time so that you surround yourself with people who can fill your weaknesses. So you don't have to be good at everything that you're trying to do, because it'll exhaust you and you're going to make less money by not delegating anyway. So the question was from Kill or Die YouTube. Wait, I think Did I skip one? No. Killer Die YouTube says, how do you feel about age in producing? In rap, it's a stigma, sorry, on being over a certain age. This is not such a big deal in other genres. We spoke about this last time, but what are your quick thoughts on that one?
Yeah, and I see you stressing quick thoughts. I'm sorry, gang, if I'm going over today.
No, it's just
I'm
this
really
is such a
passionate
common
about this.
question. I think
Yeah.
I meant to say the next. I highlighted the wrong one. Go ahead.
No, I'm really passionate about when it comes to this because this line of work changed my life. So what is the yeah, I saw that other question too. Like, what is the end goal? I think they kind of segue to each other as well. How do you feel about age and producers? So here's the thing about it. If you're still a producer, and this is a very common thing as a human being that we worry about, are we too old to be doing what we're doing? This is very common. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. You're actually, it's more human to feel that way than anything else. So I acknowledge the fact that you are willing to I acknowledge the fact that you're willing to at least address it head on. Here's the thing about it. With the internet, that is no longer an issue. Why? Because most producers are kind of hiding behind logos anyways, or most producers are sort of like using their music as the first handshake. You don't see a 46-year-old dude with gray hairs in his hair. You see hands on the piano keys. You hear a beat that's like, yo, this beat is crazy. Like, who did this? So-and-so beats. The internet made it to where you could be somebody said a 15-year-old. You could be a 15-year-old that makes a phone app, and then all of a sudden you have $1 million business because you figured out a void in the market. You figured out a hole that needed to be filled. That was your hustle. You figured it out. Everybody has something. So here's the thing about it. People are not judging just based upon the parameters we judge face to face. You may meet somebody like, this is an old dude. What kind of beats he makes? When you get online, all you're judging is what's in front of you. So if I go to a website and somebody says, yo, you need to go check this dude's beats out. Okay. Damn, this dude is amazing. I wonder how old he is. That never came across my mind. That sounds ridiculous to even say that.
Right.
I wonder what race he is because I cannot buy beats from him if he's a certain race. No. Right. Is it a man or a female? I cannot do that if it's a female producer. No, it's fire. That's the beauty of the internet. Now, to
Like
address,
I just threw it out there. I said, like, Timberland, we're always going to be looking for his beats no matter how old he is.
No matter how old he is,
Well,
because at the
he's
end of the
even
day,
seen. But he's seen.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
Well, I mean, just in general, but please address that second question because I think that one is probably Blanco Billion said, what is the end goal with making beats? For example, a tech startup is working every day for one day to be bought out by a giant corporation. Are we making beats every day?
Until the day we die.
You scrolled on me. I was reading yours.
My bad. Yeah, I realized.
Are we making beats every day until the day we die? No, that's not the goal. The goal for me as a leasing producer right now, and I definitely want to hear Gaines' perspective on it, is to find success in what comes most natural to you. I'm using my own advice. Find success first in what comes the most natural to me. And when that money, and as it's already happened, as that money comes in, it's not money that I'm just pocketing and I'm saying, oh, I got money now. It's money that I'm reinvesting into other businesses. Every single time that another business becomes successful, I got another stream of income. So because of my beat sales, I was able to buy a camera. Because I bought a camera, I was able to create a YouTube channel. Because I was able to create a YouTube channel, I started getting free sponsorship and paid sponsorship. Now that I get paid sponsorships, I can reinvest back into my beat business, or I can reinvest into whatever needs advertisement, or I can now travel across the U.S. and create an event or whatever it is that I want to do. You are using this as sort of, for me at least, this opens up the door to multiple streams of income, which is the ultimate goal for me. I don't care to get bought out. I don't want my catalog. I shouldn't say I don't want that. I'm not searching for somebody to come save me, is what my idea is. I'm not looking for a giant corporation to come, oh, please come save Kurt. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to become a powerful entity. And if somebody comes along and it makes sense, then we'll have that discussion. But for the most part, I'm looking for me to build something that I can leave not just to my son, but he can leave to his sons.
Multiple.
Sons. Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too, is that the perception is, because we've been looked at as producers as victims for so long, and as the abused for so long, we sort of kind of like we don't acknowledge that everybody doesn't think the same. I know me and Game, we definitely see eye to eye on this, is that we're not looking for somebody to come save us. Like, that's not what this is about. The end goal is to create more opportunities, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us, for our families, for, just create more opportunities and streams of revenue, I think is the biggest goal, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're doing
and honestly, to help people, man. Like, aside from that, I'm sorry. That's the foundation, is to help people, because the other stuff is not going to make you ultimately happy. What makes you happy is growth and fulfillment. Growth and a contribution. You got to figure out a way to give.
Mm-hmm. And even for my behind the scenes charity, I give Bibles and things. It takes money, not only money, but it takes people knowing me to distribute those. So I was like, wow, it's a lot of work involved in being fulfilled. Blanco, to answer your question, I thought this was gonna have a longer answer, but now I'm realizing it's like a one sentence answer. Is that a lot of businesses aren't even built to be sold, like legally. They're not even structured to be sold in the first place. Like, if you don't start your business with certain financials and certain business entities and business plans and all these things, it's not going to be sold anyway. So I don't know. People just don't know how business works. I think that's just what it comes down to. But nobody's just going to swoop down and be like, let me buy your business. Because they need a lot of stuff. They need accounting. You need a lot of things.
You could be waiting for a really long time if you're waiting on that.
It's not like buying a car.
Yes, and I think, you know what? Honestly, Game, I feel like it's a lot of people out there that are in that space. They're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think that's why they can't figure out if they want to sell their beats online or if they want to lease their beats. People are like, well, just do both. How can I address this? I want to be responsible in how I say this, but because I don't want to speak in absolutes for sure. But in my humble opinion, I think that either one, if you want to do them, you need to give it your full attention. If you're going to choose to go after placements, it's going to require a lot of your energy. And I think you're doing a disservice to either or if you're giving your time to both. So you need to make a decision, especially early on. Are you going to be making decisions that are going to hurt the other one? If you're staying at home and not getting inside of a studio, if you're staying at home because you're waiting on a rapper from South Carolina to get home from work so that he could pay for an exclusive beat, and you need that so you can pay your car note, and instead you were going to be in a studio session with some rapper that's a big deal, all of a sudden that's hurting the other business. That's hurting your placement business because you're not in a studio. Flip side, if you go to a studio session with a rapper and he's famous, but he's not trying to pay you right now until he chooses whether or not to use that beat, he takes 5 beats away from you. Those 5 beats could have generated you each $3,000 to $4,000 worth of income in a leasing business. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying you want to make sure that you focus in on something first. Simplify it first. Simplify it. I'm telling you, if you find success in one of those, the other one may be irrelevant to you, Or the flip side of it, you find success in one, now you have the freedom. Like, I got a buddy of mine, one of my mentors when I first jumped into this, the homie Awesome Beats. He already made his money. He made money online selling beats. He wanted placements. I already had placements. I wanted money because I wasn't making money with placements. And so we came together. It made sense. Now he's, not because of me, but he's getting placements on his own, like, with some folks from Young Money. And then all of a sudden I'm generating the income that I wanted to being in the industry. I haven't looked back at the industry. You won't get me to come back there. I am so happy where I'm at.
There's so many comments. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. So there's current comments. I got comments in the past on the screen, comments on Facebook. Sure. I'm looking everywhere.
Would you mind if I address? Would you mind if I address one? You can start it off, but I had it highlighted, and I don't want to miss this one because I think he made a really good point.
Are you in the current chat or the old chat?
It might be the old chat. I think I might have.
Oh, I was just going one by one. Go ahead. I was on Purnell. He said, being in a third world country, how can he make it? Well, you have the internet, so that gives you That's a key right there. You're on the internet asking us how to make it, and you're on the internet right now. So that's your answer.
I'll give you one right now. I'll give you one. In a third world country, do you have FL Studio? If you have FL Studio, go watch my video on YouTube that tells you how to make beat visualizers and audio spectrums. After you figure out how to do it in less than 10 minutes, jump on Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and start offering audio spectrums for $5. It will literally be, depending on your computer, it may be between 30 minutes to an hour of your time. Generate your income there. Start somewhere. Maybe even the beats that you're producing, offer them up there for background music for YouTubers. Music for YouTubers on Fiverr. You provide that. Right? You're not selling your beats. You're basically listening to them. That's two ways out the gate. And I know sometimes when you're right there in the middle of a situation and it feels like things are impossible, it feels like you cannot do certain things, you absolutely can. It's just a matter of your energy. If your energy is saying like, oh man, I can't, man, I'm in the third world, I can't do this. There's no way possible. Nobody's ever made it from where I'm at. If that was the metric that everybody lived by, nobody would ever do anything. You need to be the first. Why not? Why not you? Why not you? Yes, you're in a third world country. Yes, things that you don't have. You do have the internet. You have the option. You have the opportunity to ask a question that I'm sure that somebody from a third world country 10 years ago could not have, unless they came in contact with somebody physically to have that conversation. You just asked a question over the internet and got it answered. The opportunity is there, my friend. It's a matter of what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? And grind it out. I was willing to grind out a whole lot of hours for a little bit of money because that little bit of money could give me something that was going to make me a little bit more money eventually. But most people don't want to do that. Most people just want the easy answer and want you to, give them something that's going to pay their rent right now. That's not realistic.
Right. It takes a lot of time. Now you will see results almost dramatically, but it takes a lot of time and experience. So if you're not consulting with mentors like us or people who know how to do this business thing, you're going to be you're just going to be running around doing nothing. Okay. Right. Drella says, if you're privileged, how can you be, sorry, it's really hard to read from this far away. If you're privileged, how can you be bold about doing things when you're basically walking out on your family and privilege for this? What? I think the English is a little broken.
I follow that one.
Privileged, how can you? I think he's saying like, how do you do that? How do you sacrifice? How do you make time for this if you have a family? I think that's what he's asking. Like, do you have to make that? What do you sacrifice to do that?
It depends on what kind of a family structure that you have. I've been in relationships in the past where me working as much as I do wasn't for the better of the relationship. Okay. It actually made the other person even more irritable with me when we did finally spend time together, after I worked. It made them sort of regret me. And then when I found success in it, it made them angry because they were like, look at you doing this thing in the house and they don't take it serious because you're working in the house. And, that is a dynamic. But when you find the right person, and this is really just talking about relationships, but you got to figure out what family dynamic makes the most sense. I had to move out of my mom's house before I could make music full time, and not feel guilty about it. I ended up living with my friend, living on my buddy's couch, right? Roaches in the kitchen, someone like old bags of Del Taco, using notebook paper as toilet paper, eating 3-day-old bean and cheese burritos just to get it done. Making my beats out of a cubby hole, from this old school furniture looking wall. You got to do what you got to do. And the thing about it is, it really depends on your family dynamic. And at some point in time, unless you have kids, you're going to have to make the sacrifice that says, am I willing to walk away from my family for a second to grind this out and risk them hating me to make this happen? For some people, they say, I can't do it. I cannot do it. Some people say, they're not going to hate me. Eventually, they'll understand when they see the success in it. That was me. I took a chance. And now that I have success, my family is the most proud of me that they ever been. Because they see that I went and made something happen. Yeah,
I probably have a giving game about this. In the beginning, when you're trying to do something that poses like a risk to your health or your well-being or anything financially, your family is naturally going to have a concern. So they're trying to get you to stop doing that thing because they don't know it's a reality for you. So you just basically have to sell yourself first and then sell your family on it. But again, they're not going to see it right away because to them, you're putting your life at risk, and they're just trying to save you from putting your life at risk because it never existed before. But the definition of an entrepreneur is to bring something that does not exist into this reality. So people are not going to see that all the time, and that's just what it is. And people who do that more understand people who are doing it as well. Like, for example, Taylor, she understands like what we do to a degree. She understands that we have these abstract ideas that are just out in this energy field, or ideas in general, and we know how to bring them into reality through crystallization, through focus, whatever. She probably did that in her life in some other form or fashion, and she understands the power of things others may not see yet and bringing that into fruition. So she understands that same thing that other people call us crazy. It's kind of like somebody who says they saw heaven, and then you're like, you're crazy because I never saw it, or you know, whatever, you know. But then if you talk to a person who saw heaven too, you're like, oh, you saw it too, and then it's like a conversation. Yeah, you know, they're not hating you for it. So,
well, and I was gonna add to that. St. Francis Beats made a really good point. He said it's hard for me because I am in the military and I got a family. I just got back from deployment a couple of days ago. My wife knows how much I want to make music. She got me a new MacBook Pro. First of all, I got to commend you for your service. First of all, St. Francis Beats. You know, honored to be in your presence. First of all. Second of all, I would say this. You know, when it comes to family, like obviously your wife supports you, even if she doesn't necessarily understand every part of it, she supports you enough to buy you a MacBook Pro. And I think the best thing, your response, and the thing about it is, we get so guilty as producers because we feel like, man, I'm making music instead of spending time with my family. And we should be spending time with our family. However, it is your moral obligation and responsibility to take care of your family by whatever means that you know best. If you know music, or if you think music can really be the thing that ends up taking care of you in addition to what's already your stream of income, you have to do it. You have to do it. But the thing about it is the way in which you do it will ultimately determine the happiness of that family, right? As the man of the household, there's not a sexist statement, but as a man of the household, we are the center of the energy in every single household, right? You ever had a situation where you come in and you have a real shitty day, and then your wife is like, what's wrong with you? You're like, I'm just at work. It's just getting on my nerves. And all of a sudden, her mood changes. And all of a sudden, the kids start acting crazy. That's the transfer of energy starting with you. It starts with you. But then let your wife be having an attitude, and you're like, oh, baby, what's wrong? I'm just frustrated. I want to sleep. All right, you go take a nap. I'll take care of the kids. The whole dynamic changes. That's not to say that women don't play that role as well, but as a man, you have to be responsible because you're the dominant energy physically in a room. You got to be responsible for how you do things. So here's my thing. If you're back from deployment and you come back in and you say, you know what, I want to work on this music, find a way to make your wife's life easier first. But tell her, look, I'm going to spend about an hour on this tonight. Okay, fine. You already helped me out. I think you got to look at her, what can make her life easier first. And you may already do this, but make her life easier first. And then from there say, I have to be so focused about the time that I do have for myself. It may feel unrealistic. It may feel like you're not getting anywhere, but you're slowly pushing the needle every single day. And that's all you can really do sometimes. You can't, the thing about it is you can't eat an elephant in a day, but you can't eat an elephant one bite at a time. So chomp away at this music thing for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like it may be you dedicate that hour that you have free one day, just asking for 1 hour out of 24. Take that 1 hour and you may get on like a Splice account and just collect sounds, right? Collect a bunch of drums and organize it. Then the next day, that 1 hour time, you may just only make melodic loops that you're gonna put drums on the next day. The next day, you may only add drums to these beats. Before you know it, after you get a process, you got about 12 beats done in less than 2 weeks. Small increments is where it's at. It's not all about the home run. Somebody got to hit the singles to advance the runner. Somebody got to hit free throws and make sure that the team wins. So that's my best advice, I think.
Then speaking to the family thing, because I've gone through this as well, where like family will make comments like you're spending too much time doing this. I'm like, if I didn't spend that time, you would not be able to enjoy this. Period. So like what's the word people the provider for the home. I'm not saying the women can't do this either. I'm saying men and women, whatever. You have to. It's called the law of sacrifice. So for example, let's start with this. Let's just get the myth out the way, saying that you have to spend all day with your significant other and all day with your pets and all day with your kids.
Right.
You don't like, you would probably go crazy if you spent more than 4 hours of dedicated time to those people every single day. You would probably go crazy. Like you would get bored. You would be stagnant. There's no change. There's no dynamic. Now, I'm not saying you can't work with your significant other, but more than 4 hours a day, I mean, that's kind of like dreamland, and you might get sick of each other firstly. But other than that is to say, not only the time thing, but if I didn't do what I do, investing my time here, then we're not going to get the maximum result. So we're always living off of a lower return. What I mean by that is, if I don't do what I do now, we can't enjoy this thing that you expect, or this thing right now that we're enjoying. Like,
Right.
I have to work because we live off of our results, which means we kill what we eat, which means I have to go to work, period. So
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of simple when you think of it that way. Like, okay, here's the thing that separates rich people from people who aren't so well off, like wealthy people, I'll say, is that they think about survival completely differently. Now, when I say survival to somebody who doesn't really have the wealth mindset, they're thinking, oh, survival just means I'm making enough so we can sustain and live. But survival to a rich person means I'm making enough, gathering enough resources and knowledge and wisdom. So not only can I sustain this life, but my genetics will sustain throughout all my lineage. That's what survival means to really affluent people, because survival is way beyond their life. So when they say they're trying to survive, that means they're trying to do so much in this lifetime that it carries beyond multiple lifetimes. Right. And that's the biggest difference I've seen in prosperity mindsets versus people who are just trying to maintain. When you're maintaining and just doing that maintain game, that's where stagnation. You feel stagnant. Yeah. Stagnation comes from, and that's why you feel stagnant. I don't have a family per se. Like, I don't have children or a girlfriend at this specific moment, but I do know that having a dog.
Are you hinting at something? Are you hinting at something? Are you hinting at something, game? Are you trying to let us know? Are you
moving out west and try to start a relationship? You never know. I'm still trying to find a house. It's so hard, but.
Man.
Anyhow, I lost track of what I was saying, but my whole point in saying that was I have a dog, so like I'm investing a lot of time in front of a computer most of the time, or like in front of a crowd. So I'm spending time away from my dog. But I have to do what I have to do so that my dog can enjoy all his toys, all the things we do in a nice neighborhood. We go outside, we run around. He wouldn't have all that if I didn't put this time in right now. So it's about explaining that to your family. Like, you're doing this for their own benefit. Veronica says she has a dog.
Yeah, I'm about to say, somebody asked if you shot the club up. I shot the club up. You know I did. That's how I got my son right now. I seen my wife. I was like, yo, for sure. I'm about to put a baby in you. But when it comes to your significant other, what you got to make sure of this is this. And I did this with my wife too, is that she is so involved in my process. Every day she checks my YouTube revenue. Why? Because she knows it's a day closer to her goals as well. She works her own job. She makes her own money. Straight up. Like, she don't need me. She makes her own money. She's independent. However, we set goals together. We both have this app on our phone called Trulia. Trulia basically shows you houses that are for rent within your area. Okay? And so because of that, we share the same app. We like the same pictures. Like, she'll show me a picture that she liked. I'll go look at my app and see all the houses in a particular city that we want to move to in 6 months. And we want to get a nice size house. Okay. And so this house, we want to get 4 bedrooms. We want to have, want to give her a beauty room. We're going to have like a YouTube room for me and her. We're going to have, my studio finally back again, have a room for my son. Like, we got all these things planned, and we just looking at these different houses. Like, even like there's a house that I know I cannot afford the rent to get in right now, but I'm going to go I'm going to go there. I'm going to go as if I'm going to purchase that house and just breathe it in, breathe that abundance in.
Right.
And so what we do is we share the same goals. We share the same sort of checkpoints. So she's pushing me. She's like, yo, you need to do a video tonight. You need to get it done before 6 p.m. And I'm like, this is why I married you, because you say things like that. Get your YouTube video done because it's going to make the income going up. She's like, have you made a beat this week? She's like, yo, whenever you want to do a commercial, I used to do these commercials for my new beats. She's like, let me know, I'll shoot it. You got to find somebody that's so aligned with it. It is a rare thing. But if you got somebody, try to figure out a way to incorporate them. My wife, she used to do, I got this series on my channel called Critique My Beats, where basically producers send in beats and then, give them criticisms about their beats. She joined the conversation and gave a female perspective. All of a sudden now, like, we're involved with each other. You know what? It's the first time that I ever had a relationship in which that happens. Shock Raven says she runs you. Yeah, I can run. That's fine with me. Because guess what? If she's not with my son, guess what happens? I'm not working on no music. Yeah, you're right. She runs me. You can say whatever you want. A married man knows better. You've probably obviously never been a married man before. Whatever the case may be, she runs me. You're right. And she can run all of that because that's why I shot the club up. She fine.
Shot the club up.
She provides. Oh my God, I love that woman. You say what you want. I got a ring on my finger. I don't give a damn. She run me? Clockwork. She showed do. She showed do. You can't hurt a man in love, bro. You can't hurt a man in love, man. It's the perfect woman for me. I finally got a woman that I wake up and she motivates me as just as much as I motivate her. Like today, she went and had an interview at a job that she really, really wanted because she's passionate about makeup. And then I pushed. I was like, yo. She was like, can you take care of Nas in the morning? Like, well, baby, I got you. I'm up. So I'm up in the morning, feeding him the bottle. We sit up here watching SpongeBob. He go to sleep. I'm reading a book, reading my 10 pages a day. He go to sleep. She come back. She got the job. Cool. Now I get to go back on the computer and work on beats. Now I get to sit up here for 2 or 3 hours with my friend Game and folks that I have never met, sitting here talking to you right now. So yeah, she runs me. All that. I love it.
And this is the stuff that's hidden from people who are trying to start businesses online. This is leadership training. This is what separates me and Curtis King from like 99.99999%. Even music school, they don't teach you how to be a leader. You don't go to any school and they teach you how to be an entrepreneur, and let alone any audio schools. So this is what you don't get from those places or anywhere in the world, so to speak. And that's what we have at busyworksbeats.com. You have to build your pyramid brick by brick from the bottom up. There's no shortcuts in building your character as a man or as a female, whatever. As a leader, there's no shortcut. And a lot of people are trying to put on this image that their pyramid's complete, but it's really not complete. It's a hollow pyramid. And that's where we have leaders trying to show up and act like they run everything. But you said that your wife helps you get your productivity up. I've noticed personally, now that my productivity is up again, I saw how not productive I was for a period of time. Like when I was out in LA and Miami and where else were we at? New York, shooting all these music videos and doing all the seminars. I physically couldn't work because I didn't have my stuff with me. Couldn't do what I usually do. So I wasn't as productive in that sense. I was productive in a different lane. So getting back to like being productive in this sense made me see how non-productive I was. So do you feel like, what motivates you? Is it that you have a goal, or is it that you're thinking of your future survival, genetically speaking? Like, what's the key thing that's really motivating you? Through her, honestly, it's that shared goal. And people may say, well, you don't want to have a goal that's like a physical thing, or like you don't want to have things be your goals or whatever. And I understand that. I understand that it's short-lived. Like a house is not going to make someone happy, but I'm already happy. I just know that if I get in this environment, the things that I'm able to do with it, the ways I'm able to serve my community better, the quality in which my beats are going to be enhanced because I don't have to worry about my neighbors and my beats being too loud. Right.
It's going to change everything, right? It's going to change everything for the better. Why? Because I've been there before and I know what it's like. But now I'm doing this with somebody that I love nearly and dearly to my heart, and as the mother of my child. He gets to grow up in an environment where he won't even remember being in this apartment. You know what I'm saying? He'll only know being in 4-bedroom houses and more, right? And that, I'm Gucci. You ain't got to. I already won. So for me, every single day, when I look at my son game, it simplified my life. And I told you about this earlier. It gave me the clarity that said, I don't have to be a million and one things. Like, I think sometimes we get so caught up in some of the leaders, and like leaders naturally are magnetizing figures. That's what they are. That's why they're leaders. So people like a Gary Vee, I wanted so bad to be like the Gary Vee of my music producer community. And then I realized two things. One, trying to be the Gary Vee of my music producer community is completely contradictory to what Gary Vee teaches us. He teaches us to be unique. He teaches us to tell our story. Right. Secondly, the second issue with that is that I am now, by trying to copy somebody else's way of doing things, I am now limiting my own potential. What if I could have been better than a Gary Vee in my own space? What if I could have done things that he never would have done? There's a difference between emulating people and copying them. When you're emulating, you're sort of moving in the same mindset, in the same, you're making decisions that are similar to their mindset. When you're copying, you're just watching the things that they do, and you're just imitating that same exact thing. You don't know why you're doing it. It's almost like when you see online producers who are, they got their prices and they change their prices. You never ask yourself, well, why do they change their prices? You just change your prices. That's copying. That's not emulating. If you know it's a time of the year where sales are not high and things are kind of dropping off, so you're running a special discounted sale, then that's thinking with the mindset. And so I think that, when it comes to any leader, you got to make sure that you are able to separate the human being in them. Same thing with me. Separate the human being in me. Realize that I'm still learning my way as well. There's a lot of things that I have learned along the route and I'm willing to share, but there's a lot of things I'm still learning myself.
True. And forgive me, because again, managing so many like platforms all at once is insane. I got Facebook to my right, YouTube to my left, live stream, live YouTube to the here. I'm trying to listen at the same time. It's very difficult. So I was following you in your storyline, and I want to tap into this because you mentioned tag teaming and having common goals with your significant other, and this ties into the 6 human needs and all those things. But this is why people need to understand business. When you incorporate as a business, you have certain tax write-offs. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer or an accountant with fiduciary responsibility, so get advice from a lawyer or an accountant. Bottom line is, when you have, an entity, a business entity, and you separate your finances from that entity, just like it's a separate bank account, which it is a separate bank account, you can do certain things as a family. Like when you work together, like you can, if you get a house with 4 rooms, for example, there's this, it's illegal to do this. You have this expense called home office expense. So the portion of your home you're using for your home office, you can actually, it's tax deductible, meaning
exactly,
basically you're not paying as much rent as you would if you're running a business through your home. Now it has to be legit. We're not lying about this. This whole room is a studio along with this other room on the other side of the wall. That's a whole studio. This is official business. We're a real business, an LLC. Busy Works Beats LLC is the official name. So this is why, like, you need to start evolving beyond music production and tag teaming with your partner and saying, how can we think more business-like? Because now there's so much to explain, but I just want to open people's minds to this stuff. Like, before you actually buy a home, think about asset allocation, which means setting up entities as shell corporations. That's not an illegal term. Look up shell corporation. I'll Google it right now and define it. And it might be the wrong, term specifically, but what it means is it's a holding. Let's call it a holding corporation. A holding. Like when you hear real estate holdings, that just means it's a company that holds the ownership of certain properties. The point of holding those properties is to protect them from liability. And you can offset income and do all these other advanced tax things. But the point is, like what am I trying to say? America is a corporation. There's one way to live it, which is like an average person, and you get taxed up the you-know-what because you don't know any better. Or the second way to live this life in America is to incorporate along with your wife or your spouse and learn the strategies and tax strategies on how to save money, how to grow, how to build wealth for your family and protect it through all these other legal entities. That's all I have to say, because I'm not an expert on it. But the point is, you think completely differently. Like if I'm going to house, it's not just like how much can I afford per month. It's like, okay, how many rooms are going to be used for my home office? Which LLC is going to hold this asset called a home? How am I going to transfer the equity from this home to the next home if I plan on moving through a 1031 exchange? Like, this is the type of stuff you need to see business wise if you want to strategically start moving up that ladder.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Let me grab my charger real quick.
So if you want to strategically move up in life and do all these things, just there's two ways to live life. That's all I gotta say in America. And all it takes is just understanding common law. If you can't, and get an accountant and get a lawyer around you. Or a law firm, actually. Get a law firm. Not just one lawyer, get a law firm. If you can and want to, do both, online and offline. Move to Atlanta or LA, get an internship at night and produce for your online business during the day. You could, but that's assuming that you're going to get an internship. Like, I know studios that won't even let you book time as a customer if you don't know anybody. So can you imagine trying to be an intern at that? Getting around projects that aren't, they have to trust you to be an intern because you could leak information, you could, whatever. Because I've heard songs that aren't out yet by huge artists, and I was blown away, but I don't open my mouth about them. Okay, so next time, please do a live on marketing strategies. That's a very huge umbrella.
I'm about to say, where specifically do you want us to start at?
That's a huge thing, but maybe so. I mean, we do that every day, but you're just not paying attention, AT.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I want to say what's these terms have been embedded in our minds since we started getting online and making, or even online. There's so much, so many terms that are so stale. Like, marketing is so stale. There's nothing that means nothing. It means a million things to a million different people. When you say marketing strategies, basically all you're saying is ways to communicate with people. What's specific? What do you need help with? How, marketing. I had a marketing teacher tell me this one time, a marketing professor. He said, marketing is basically, how do I tell my message the most clear to the people that need to hear it the most? If you understand that aspect, I'm pretty sure you can start brainstorming things that are going to make your message. First of all, what is your message? If you don't have a message, you don't need a marketing strategy. You need a brainstorming session first, right? Figure out what your message is that you're trying to get out there. If you have a new beat, well, the new message may be, I have this huge anthem sounding trap beat that either, I don't know, one of the biggest trap rappers right now could rap over, but I think that it would be even better if you had access to it. There's a lot of musicianship that's behind it that people wouldn't normally expect from a trap record. Oh, by the way that I'm going to show this message to the people that need to hear it the most is by making a behind the beat video. That's part of your marketing strategy now. It's a communication tool. Right? Even advertising. People don't know the difference between marketing and advertisement. They don't know that's two different entities. Advertisement is literally the visual representation of visual or audio representation of an ad for whatever your marketing strategy, marketing campaign is. But it doesn't. You can't just map together these words together and just expect to get a great answer about it. You got to figure out what message is the message that you want to communicate and what audience do you want to talk to too. You can't just want rappers. That's too broad. Can you imagine if a car dealership says, we only, we're Mustangs. We only want people who drive cars. Wait, what? What about people who need vans for work? What about people who, there's too many people in the world, too many variables. Like, you cannot just, so many variables within even rappers too. Every rapper is not trying to buy the same beat. Every rapper is not going to rap the same. Every rapper is not just beginning. Every rapper is not in their fourth year, their third year, their second year. The beats that I like when I was a rapper in my first year compared to the beats that I like in my sixth year, huge difference. Who are you talking to? Who is your demographic? Is your demographic younger? Is it older? I think if anything, you got to do more research. When you do the research and you figure out who already is rocking with you, you're gonna know what message that you want to give to them, and then from there you're gonna figure out different ways to make your message even more clear.
Right, that's the biggest mistake. People don't even. It's like trying to understand how to talk to girl. Let's always relate it back to girls. It's the easiest thing to understand. You're not going to talk to a church girl the same way you talk to a girl in the dive bar. Like, you're going to use certain language to be safe with the church girl. She's going to understand certain things and have different values than somebody who's just always clubbing and doing whatever.
Right.
So it's the same thing with your audience. Everybody's not going to receive your message the same way. This is a good question from Krush.
Dom in the house. Hi, Dom.
There she is.
It's hot outside.
He was talking about you all day, Dom. He name dropped like 1,000 times.
I might have done that. Thank you, gang. You can give me some brownie points right now.
You watch the replay. Shout out to Dom for bearing the beautiful young Nas into this world.
Yes.
And for being an awesome partner. Y'all are funny to watch. Y'all still do the channel? I don't go on YouTube as much.
We have not done the channel over the last few weeks.
Uh-oh.
She got a channel though, but I'm afraid to share it on here because I don't know. There'd be some people watching. They'd be doing some weird stuff, so I don't know if I want to share that.
You never know. This is a good question. My bad. I mean, interrupt the love going on there. This is from Krush J. What says, what would you? Oh, I can't read. Sorry. What would you include when sending an artist an email containing beats? Would you send the terms and conditions? Would you send the prices and lease prices, the full song or snippet? So that's assuming that you're trying to hard sell them through like a cold email. Like you should already have a website with the terms on a certain page of your website. I wouldn't always mail out the terms and conditions. You're working to death for nothing. Like, just do it once and leverage that one thing. Put it on a website and your terms and conditions are at the bottom. You don't have to constantly copy and paste all the time.
Yeah, well, are they talking about trying to lease beats via email?
Through email, yeah, like the hard way. Like, if I didn't know you and I just hit you up through email and I just said, here are my beats.
People still do that?
They don't know, man.
Oh man, hell no. Let me share this, please. Please don't do that. Because you know what it looks like? No matter how you position, no matter how you say it, you know what it looks like? I want your money. Here's 3 reasons why you should give me your money. Immediately it comes off like that. No matter what you say, you could say, hey fam, your rapping is dope. Here's these 3 beats. Yo, hit me up if you want, information on the rates. What? I didn't even ask for your business. Here's the thing about it. You're not going to, you will not get somebody to buy something from you until they have personally established that it's either going to bring them extreme pleasure or help them avoid extreme pain. Okay? It's either going to give them extreme pleasure from buying your beats, or your beats is going to help them avoid extreme pain, like not being a successful rapper locally. But you stop selling y'all booty through the email. Y'all got to stop that. You got to stop getting on the emails and saying stuff like, oh man, check these 3 beats out, man. It comes off like even slightly crackheadish. You can't do that. It just, and I don't want to speak in absolutes. Okay, let me stop. Let me not speak in absolutes. Try it out and you tell me the success rate with that. I'm just telling you, for me, that for me and the people that I know that have utilized that, they look upon that as, I would never do that again, especially because you're basically soliciting business. I would much rather you find a way to provide these people value for free first, and not just with your beats. Find some way to give them some information. Like, you may even hit them up and say, I ran a little bit of research on your streaming numbers. This song seems to be doing really well. If you're ever in need of these type of beats that are going to help you sell more, feel free to contact me. But for the most part, keep doing your thing. To me, that's the kind of email I could see sending. But I can't imagine like just selling, like just hitting people off. Like, I don't want to hear from my bill collectors and I owe them money. Why would I want to hear from you and I don't know you and you want my money? No, you're not going to be. You just fall in line with every other promotion that falls in my promotion tab on Gmail. I don't want that.
Promotions tab.
Come on, like you're just another. Your name is stuck between Papa John's and Best Buy. Yo, fam, I got these beats for you, man. Come on, man. 3 beats, man. I tell you, it's the hottest stuff you ever heard in the streets, man. Come on. No, man. Like, that's the part where we gotta this is the part where I'm not here to make fun of you, but this is the part where you need somebody to say that to you so that you feel like I need you to like put your Superman chest on. I'm not saying you're too good to jump into emails. I'm not saying you're too good to communicate with people. I'm saying that there's certain things that you do that come off a lot more thirsty than what you're probably trying to convey to that person. You want to do business? Talk to people like people first, right? I can tell you the person that I can't stand the most when I go to Walmart is that dude in a suit, and I know he's trying to sell cable. Yo, what's up? Yo, what's up, man? Those are nice kicks you got on there. What are those, Jordan 13s? That's crazy, man. Anyways, you want to get some of this cable right here. Who's your provider, man? I can't stand that guy. Don't be that guy as a producer. Gang, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, like
you know
those kiosks at the mall and all them.
Yeah, you know the guy that's like, oh, that's a pretty cool haircut you got there, man. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, who's your
provider? Yeah.
Who's your internet provider? Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Are you happy? Ask me all these personal questions. I don't know you, fam. Back up off me and my money. It's no different from producers who are like, so, Mr. Rapper, I see that you like to rap over beats. Funny thing is, I happen to make beats. Who's your current beat provider? Who are you leasing from right now? Are you happy? I've got a deal right now. Buy one, get 17,000 for free. Are you interested? Send me a PayPal right now.
He said the promotions tab though. Oh man,
come on,
that's
fam.
crazy.
Like I know we clowning and all that. I try to like lighten the mood up because you got to understand what it looks like. That's why I used to do the series Roscoe the Taco. I played the fool so you guys would never have to play the fool. You got to understand where it's at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the hustle. But I understand also too, a part of the hustle is growth. A part of the hustle is understanding like, okay, I can't do that no more because that makes me look a certain way. I need to be more respectable about my business because my business for the long term is worth a lot more to me than just this moment right now in time. Man, who your internet service provider, man? Oh man. Or the guys in the mall. Oh man. Man. Let me clean your shoes real quick, man. Come over here real quick, partner. Let me shine them up for you, man. No, I don't want you to. I didn't come to the mall to get my sneakers clean, fam. And you are not about to sell me on this. I did not ask for this. Like, first of all, you're insulting me by insinuating that our shoes are dirty. Second of all, you want to clean my shoes in the mall? No. Third of all, I know you're getting ready to sell some to me. I don't want that. Got me high.
He said I did not come to the mall to get my sneakers.
Come on, man. I didn't come here for all that. Can I live? I know we clown rappers a lot, but can they live too?
Yeah, you're wild. Hilarious, man. Freak. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Now I gotta go back to being serious. Now I'm the bad guy, but freak.
Somebody says stop knocking the hustle. I'm not knocking nobody hustle. I'm telling you, be realistic about where you're at. Understand what it is. If that's what's making you happy, do that. But understand that what it's like, what it's gonna come out to people, how it's going to appear is what it's going to appear like. I feel the worst for the people who are out there on the street. They got people out here on the street right now that whenever you go to any hood within like any vicinity, any hood, you know for a fact there's gonna be somebody outside with a full-blown makeup and a full-blown Statue of Liberty uniform on, looking like the Statue of Liberty, guys and females, holding up a torch and holding up a sign that says, "Come get your check in the cash." You get your cash check at this check in the cash place. I know that they're gonna always be out there. It's the most demeaning thing that I could ever see. But you know what? They got to get their money too. I understand it. But at some point in time, they've got to make the decision. This ain't for me no more. Yeah. And I'm saying the same thing for producers. One day you're gonna wake up. One day you say, you know what? Selling my booty through the email is not the way. I actually want to have a respectable business. I actually don't want to clean nobody's sneakers in the mall no more. I think that I have advanced from that level. I think that now it is time. Ken, you look drained, man. You all right, man?
Who, me?
Yeah, you looking drained, man. You're looking
sweating over here. No, I mean I'm listening. I'm looking at the chat, listening. I do respect the hustle. It's just the point. You got to prospect. You got to know who you're talking to. Like, I'm not gonna talk to a guy talking about you want to buy a dress at this kiosk. So you got to know who you're talking to. That's the main mistake we're all making, period. But we're going to show you how to sell beats online. You can do it beyond emails. This is what our trainings are for. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. Go to Curtis King's website, curtiskingbeats.com. He's a whole course on how to build a music producer website, step by step. I've taken the course myself. I'm not lying. I went through all. He probably updated it, but it was 6 videos at the time.
Still is.
Still is? Okay. And it was easy to follow, step by step, boom, boom, boom. You hit all the key points. I was very satisfied. I told him every video. Oh, I'm on video too. I was hyped. This is before it came out. So I love the course and I stand by it. So it's legit. You need to learn these things. This is what separates people who aren't doing much on the internet versus people who are. Also, I wanted to note earlier, again, I got to be the guy going back to seriousness, but
sure.
0 is not really 0. 0 is -1 plus 1. And I said that on Twitter recently because this is going to change the way you think about life. For example, you said, give them value before you ask. The reason is you're balancing out. So you're taking one side of the equation. You're giving first. Okay, you're building up this side of the equation. Now the law of reciprocity or the universe is going to balance it out. The law of balance or equilibrium, some people call it. So now all this goodwill is going to transfer energy and turn into what we call monetary value. It's just a symbol that value has been exchanged. So once it crosses that threshold, so imagine the equal sign being like a fence or like a hole in a wall or something. You have all this energy on this one side of the wall. And then once it passes through that hole, now it turns out that exchange occurs. And that's what money is an exchange of energy. And now the energy goes back to that person in value. So you give value first and it returns to you. So a lot of people are just trying to take value. They're not trying to give first. And that's why they end up not having much because they're always take. And that's the definition of wealth is that you can give. You have to, in order to give, that means you have to have resources to give. And that's what wealth is, ongoing resources. The earth will always provide nutrients for our plants, and all these things that the earth gives. It gives. It doesn't take from us. It gives it to us because it's the definition of wealth.
And I was going to say too, like understanding that there are different approaches to a sale. I think that a lot of producers think black and white on a sale. They think, oh, I got a hard sell to you. I have to tell you that I got these 3 beats, like hard sell, just sell. They don't know that there is different arts to selling, right? There's a time to close. You can't close on the first email that you send out. Like you can't, like I've had people send me emails trying to sell beats to me. And they'll try to, when I say close, basically they try to close on the deal before they've even got me to say yes to anything. They don't even know if I'm interested. So they'll say something like, yo fam, I do hooks for $30. Yo fam, your beats are tight. I do hooks for $30. Send me your PayPal to this email if you want to get started right now. I heard one of your beats I want to listen to. Like you can't stop trying to close on me. Like don't close on me right now. You need to figure out, first of all, if I'm even interested in your sound. You got to figure out, second of all, if I'm even looking for that. And then third of all, that may not be the way that you could provide me value. What's up?
King Now's going to make a guest appearance.
He about to make a guest appearance. He been acting a fool.
What's up, Pop? There he is.
Hi, Baba.
He got a fresh look every single time. Something different. You never know. You're like,
what's up, Pop?
About to explode?
Please, come on, man. Don't do me like this. In front of a live studio audience.
Yeah, he's trying to show he could sing. I got him. But like you said, selling beats over emails, like it's just like dating. Like you're not gonna try and, I don't know how vulgar I can be, but you're not gonna try and like get with somebody the first day you see them on site, like up front. You have to kind of woo them and seduce them to want to even be with you through dating. It's the same exact thing in sales and business. You have to kind of attract people to you through treating them well, just like you would on a date. You don't just go to a date like, all right, we sleeping together right now?
Yeah, like you finna get it to me because I pay for appetizers. Like, wait, what?
Pay for appetizers. You're not even paying for the appetizers. It's just you're not giving anything. Yeah, before the food even came up.
I picked you up, didn't I?
I picked you up. Even that's giving them value, but they're not giving any value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the proposal of going out on a date.
Yeah. Okay, I'll see what you mean. Yeah, but people. I think people have only one linear way of doing things, and that's what jacks them up. You know, especially in emails. People think the only reason to send emails out. I'm sorry, y'all. Nah.
That's the first time I heard his voice, kind of.
He'll never be crying online.
He's a
Put him in the chair. I think that producers, thank you, babe. Producers have such a linear way of thinking of things that I gotta sell. Even with emails, they think email, I have to sell. Hey, rappers, I got 3 new beats. Everybody's not always looking for beats sometimes from you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're looking for, do you know something about what's going on right now with Spotify? Spotify has this new thing where they're taking music off. They stopped it now, but they're taking music off of Spotify that comes off as hateful or has demeaning lyrics in some shape or form. I'm pretty sure that your rapper audience is going to want to know some information about that. If you so much as just read one article, you can provide them some information. Give them that information, and then after you give them like 3 or 4 sentences that sum that up, go put at the end of that, oh, by the way, I have 3 new beats that I just released. But you got to bring them in somehow. It can't just be just that. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be just this.
Mm-hmm. You brought up something. When we were on our trips to LA and Miami, I was hanging with Jay, who's a video producer for me, and he's trying to start his own thing as well. And he was having issues trying to come up with content. And I said, okay, now you have all this business structure. What are you going to do for the content? And that's where a lot of people are just getting stuck. They don't know what kind of content attracts their audience. So you really have to sit down. I mean, it's going to be hard. It's not easy, but you have to understand your market at the same time. What do they really want? So it's just like trying to figure out what lines you want to say to a girl. You can sit here and read 1,000 books on the general aspect of talking to women, but you have to understand, are you talking to a girl from the hood? Are you talking to a girl from Beverly Hills? Are you talking to a girl from Malibu? Are you talking to a foreign girl who has different values? So you have to know your audience first before you even dig into what content you're going to, give to them, or the way you talk to girls. You're not going to use the same general thing every single time.
And then also, too, you want to know what their mood is that day, too. Somebody could just be having one of them days where they don't want to hear nothing. They may be short with you, and they may be a person that's a sweetheart in general, but you never know because that day you came at the wrong time. I'm pretty sure there's producers, if you've been sending emails out, I'm pretty sure you got cussed out at least one time. If you send out 100 emails, you probably got cussed out, or somebody says something kind of passive-aggressive or aggressive to you. I'm pretty sure that's happened to you. Why? Because you're like blankly sending things and not knowing if somebody that day may need you to just be the one person that helped them out in some shape or form. Mm-hmm. And it may be just you just giving them information. That's what it is with my channel. Like, people know every single day I've been releasing a video for the last 70 odd days, but they know that even beyond that, there is an abundance of positivity and an abundance of actual strategy and information that is going to help you. And if you know that exists, you always got something to go back to. And the thing about it is, the reason I exist in that world is because that world got introduced to me, from the Les Browns, the Tony Robbins, the Jim Rohns, the people that I listen to, and I love consuming their information because it puts me in such a great mindset. I want it to be that for music producers. You just got to find that it's out there. It's out there, but you got to be willing to look in different places. But that's what I'm saying, is that because I provide that, I don't never worry about no other man or what's going on, because I know that that's there. As a producer, you got to figure, like Game said, you got to figure out who you're talking to, and you got to figure out how can I more accurately talk to them. Once you get your audience, I'm telling you, once you get your dedicated 20 following, just off top, the first 20, you'll care less and less about a lot of these questions that you have, because now you'll be too worried about the responsibility of leading. Mm-hmm. You'll be too worried about how can I serve these people even more. Right now, a lot of the questions that I'm hearing in here, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but I can tell certain questions are asked by people who have little to no fan base, right? I can tell by certain questions, because these are not questions that you ask when you're in the responsibility of leading people. When you're in the responsibility of leading people, you're more than likely taking so many chances to make something happen for them that you're like, yo, I did this, and this, and this, and this. Do you think that was the wrong thing to do? Because you've already done so much to try to advance your particular culture or subculture. But honestly, you ain't gonna learn nothing till you get out here and do.
Yeah,
we can talk. Yeah, we can talk 4 or 5 hours at a time, and folks can sit in here and feel so good about it, and feel good about what they're hearing, and feel motivated. But when this camera turns off, you got to get to work. And if you don't put something into action, you'll be back in the same cycle. You'll be back here next stream, and you'll be like, oh man, what did I do differently than last time? And I think that's why it's important that besides just the information that we give, we make sure that you're held accountable for it too.
True. And this has been going on for 2 hours and 2 minutes supposedly on this stream. So I like to wrap it up around 2 hours so it's easy to digest for people who play this back on 2x speed. If you're watching this on replay, I know this at the end of the stream, but I should have said this in the beginning. Put the streams on 2x speed. You get through them a lot quicker instead of sitting there. Unless you like real-time audio. I listen to everything on 2x speed unless it's like I Am Dante or something where I need to listen, or like music or something. Yes. So let's end it here. I think that's a good place. And Ferg, to answer your question, the models in Miami are great. In fact, the same models were put into Gucci Mane and Lil Pump's video coming up soon. That's all I gotta say.
About models.
I don't know nothing about models.
I don't hear anything. I have never seen anything about anything with models. I don't know anything you're talking about, Game. I would really appreciate if this whole modeling thing just wasn't brought up in front of me, because
gotta let people know.
We can talk about people cleaning shoes in the mall, but I mean, I don't know about no models though.
Hilarious. I gotta let them know that we have music videos. Me with the same exact girls that Gucci Mane and Lil Pump has. So it just shows you the industry's small and that you can do it too. That's my point. But we'll wrap it up officially. I never know how to wrap these up, so I'm gonna let you ride it out for us.
Well, music producers, you have just heard numerous topics covering, is there still money left for music producers? I would say online music producers specifically, you know there's still money out here. Stop playing. Producers who are still selling your business through the email, make sure you're selling your business and not your booty. At the end of the day, music producers, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. You've been watching another episode of the Music Producer Conversation that is presented to you by BusyWorks Beats TV, featuring Curtis King of Curtis King TV. You have a good one.
Oh yeah, see you guys.
I'll take it. I feel good about that. All right, peace, y'all.
I feel good about that.